Hey everybody, it's me, the big producer, president of production of Sideline Sports Network, Denzel Snipes. You can catch me on Denzel Sniper 13 on Twitch as well as Nelly 13 on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. NELLINEL 13. Welcome to Cubfidential. This is the official League Championship Series results and World Series preview. Two teams have been decided for the World Series in the last two nights, and we are here to tell you that in case you missed it, both series came down to a game seven, a pivotal game seven. And we've got a guest in the house, somebody from the DFW area, somebody that I've known for 7 years, awesome dude who does sports talk himself. And without further ado, I'm going to bring in our guy. He is the Chicago Crusader himself, JB Ellis.
Denzel, what's going on? We got a World Series, I hear.
Yes, we do. We sure do. And things about to get real interesting beginning with this episode.
So tell me, last week, right, a month ago, February, you said the Arizona Diamondbacks versus the Texas Rangers, right? That was your prediction.
I don't think it was anybody's. I don't think it was anyone's.
Texas made the moves that I saw would give them a possibility to make the playoffs. So I can at least see where their run came from.
Right.
Arizona?
Yeah, who would have thought Arizona? You know what? And you're right. With the Texas Rangers, and this is why it's no shock. And me being an Astros fan, of course, congratulations to the Texas Rangers. They deserved it. The Texas Shootout did live up to the hype, like I knew it would. I would say this much: it's not like there was some scrubs. They held a division lead for most of the season. In a lot of people's eyes, they should have won a division, which I'm sure our guests will, talk about. But they made the moves. But the Diamondbacks, I don't even think people in Phoenix saw them coming.
So I'm going to say this to all the Cub fans before we go any further. Remember when we kept losing to the Diamondbacks in September, and they seemed like they were bad losses back then? Maybe they weren't so bad because this team went into the playoffs and took care of business. So maybe they weren't bad losses.
Maybe they weren't. Maybe they weren't at all. Yeah. Maybe we were looking at a contender all along, but of course no one's going to see it because it's the Diamondbacks. And you'll see why in one of the topics coming up. With that said, I'm going to fade out, brother. You got it.
So we got our regular Mr. Ubbs, the pundit, Jacob Christner himself, who's here tonight. We're going to bring him on. And then we got a special guest who covers the Texas Rangers. This is Martez. He's better known as the Coach on Faith on Sports Talk Radio. How you doing, Martez?
Good evening, my beautiful people.
How's it going?
Good to be on. Thanks for having me.
Good. You have your audio up?
I do.
Okay, because I'm echoing.
My audio is up. Everything, I don't know.
That's weird. I don't know why.
Yeah, it was good a little bit ago. I haven't done anything different.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to take you off and bring you right back on.
Okay.
Let's see if that makes a difference.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just echoing back. Let me see what's that. Mr. Producer, are you hearing me twice?
I'm good back here. Actually, hang on.
Yeah, I hear you twice too.
Yeah, there's an echo. Let me see something. Try now.
Yeah, still an echo. Hang on 1 second, Martez. I'm going to take you off a second. Okay?
Yeah.
You hear me good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's something with Martez. Martez, you want to sign off and come back on?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
see if that works.
Okay.
See, guys, when you do live shows, this is sometimes what happens. You get these little slip-ups and hiccups, and we adjust on the fly, just like the Texas Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
And they came back to, have a phenomenal Game 7 victory over some of these Houston Astros. Jay, I want to ask you while we're waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Game 6 when the bench is cleared. What were you thinking?
At the time period, it was like, it was the heat of the moment and everything. And besides, Garcia and Maldonado kind of have a history. It's the playoffs. It's the playoffs. It's exactly why people watch it, So if anything, it made for great passion and everything. I'm, I wasn't mad at it at all. We've seen this all of our lives in the playoffs in sports.
So stay on a second because I want to hear the other side. So Martez, you there?
I'm here. Is it better?
Okay, good. No echo.
Awesome.
Perfect. Whatever reason that happened. Jay, stay on. I wanted to both use on for a second because Jay's a Houston guy and Martez is a Texas Ranger guy who covers the Rangers. So we were talking about Game 6, the bench clearing incident. So what was your thoughts on the whole situation with what happened?
My opinion has always been the same when it comes to these type of situations. Garcia, hits a bomb. He's a very emotional guy. Really, he's the only emotional guy on our baseball team that actually shows a lot of emotion. And yeah, he probably stared at the home run a little bit too long and strutted his stuff a little bit too much. But I've never been a fan of plucking a batter just because he hit a home run. I think the way you go about it is next time he comes at bat, you strike him out. I'm not a believer in the unwritten rule. I mean, because what if you lose control of that pitch and you hit him in the head because you're just trying to plunk? I'm just not a fan of that. I've never been a fan of it. I'll never agree with it. But it happened, and the bench is cleared. Bad blood between both teams. Bad blood between those two players. And Garcia got the last laugh. I mean, after that moment, he became a machine at bat. So at the end of the day, what was done was done. It's over. He got the last laugh. We move on. And come next season, we'll probably get the same type of heat. So I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the rivalry that became between Texas and Houston this year, I mean, I don't think, following the AL, I'm a Yankee fan. I know we always had a rivalry with Houston, but the rivalry now between the two Texas teams, this is phenomenal. I think this is one of the best things to happen for baseball, to have these regional rivalries. And, I just think it brings more passion to the game. What's your thoughts on that?
I love it. Obviously, the last 2 years, 2021, we lost over 100 games. And then last year, we lost 90 plus. And then this year, bringing in Bochy and then the additions we made with the pitching staff. And, obviously, we managed to stay healthy for the most part this year till, towards the end where we start losing some pitchers. But the Astros have owned the division. They've been the big dog. They've been the benchmark. They're the mountain the Texas Rangers needed to climb to get back to where they are right now. And I think as long as both teams stay intact and can stay healthy, this can go on for another 3 or 4 years. And I love it. I really, really love it. I love a heated rivalry in all sports. It makes it a lot more exciting. And, a lot of people, forget Houston, they didn't want to see Texas get a team, a baseball team. So the rivalry is just now starting because I don't believe it's a rivalry until you do what the Rangers just did. Now, if they can finish the job and win the World Series, now we can call it a rivalry. Because when it's one-sided, I don't know how it can be a rivalry.
So now do you see the bad blood from this year going into next year?
Absolutely. Especially if the Rangers finish this off and win the World Series, because now your last two champions, Astros and the Texas Rangers. So now you really have some true heat. So, and then they're not going to forget what Garcia did. They're not going to forget that. And the Rangers are not going to forget it either. And so I think when these two teams play each other, they're going to be the top dogs. They're going to be the hunted in the division and in the American League. And then when they play each other, the stakes are going to be higher.
So what is Adolis Garcia meant for Texas?
Here in the playoffs, he's meant everything. But I always like to say you always got to have a guy. Anytime you build a championship team, you have to have a guy that has a little bit of an edge to him. Not necessarily that loses control, but a guy that has a little emotion, that takes things personal, that has a little something extra that maybe your teammates don't have. And sometimes you need that. And I think Garcia is a perfect example of a guy who not only brings it, at the plate, but he brings it from an emotional standpoint to the locker room. And sometimes that's needed.
So last night, say it didn't happen yet. When you were watching the game or waiting for the results, who were you hoping to face?
I was hoping to face the Diamondbacks because I didn't want to deal with the big bats of Philly. I didn't want to deal with – now, the Phillies don't really hit for average, but they got a lot of guys that can hit the ball 400 feet. And that worried me. I know that the Diamondbacks have a couple of guys that can do the same thing, but not at the level that the Phillies could. So I would rather take my chances with a team that just barely made it to the playoffs and they've gotten hot. And once you get to the World Series, you're not a pushover if you've gotten this far. But I just thought the matchup and us having the home field advantage and everything, I thought this was a better chance for us to finally get over that hump and get the first World Series championship here in Arlington.
Now, when you look at what's going to happen, I mean, Texas was phenomenal on the road in the ALCS, but, at home really wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a particular reason for that? Is that something that, is there a reason why they played better on the road?
Well, the Rangers were terrific at home until they faced the Astros because the Astros were the best road team in baseball. And they have a heart of a champion, and you can't take that away from them. I don't think it's so much the Rangers played poorly because they really should have won. What was it, Game 6, I believe, where they choked it away. They going into the bottom of the ninth inning. They had the game, and then they gave it away. Made the mistake of pitching to that GOAT Altuve, and you just can't do that. And so I think they'll be better at home in this series, and I don't think they will have the same issues because Arizona, they don't bring the same veteran leadership, the same been there and done that the Astros did. They are kind of somewhat inexperienced like the Rangers are at this point.
So one of the things that I've kind of thought, and it's a concept that's out there, the way the playoffs are set up right now, it's stacked against the best teams. Now, I don't really necessarily think that Texas wasn't one of the better teams in the AL this year. So in the AL, I'm going to say I'm okay with Texas winning it. I was okay with Texas or Houston, both really good teams. But in the NL, the Dodgers and Braves just got smoked by the Diamondbacks and Phillies, and both those teams were really good, and they both had a week off. Do you think that is a problem? The way the MLB playoffs are set up?
No, I don't believe that because I can't give Atlanta or the Dodgers that excuse. When you win 100 games, you know what's going to happen. When you have those records, you know the type of time off you're going to have. You know what's coming. So they should have been prepared mentally, and they should have had themselves ready, obviously physically as well. They just got beat. I don't want to take anything away from the teams to beat them. We've always said watching baseball that the pitching, can shut down great hitting. I didn't think anybody could shut down Atlanta. With that lineup that Atlanta puts out there, I didn't think it was possible. So when it happened, I was stunned. I was very, very surprised, but I don't think it had anything to do with the way the playoffs are set up. I just think they just lost to a team that caught lightning in a bottle in that series.
So 2 things before I let you go, Martez. It was great having you tonight. What are the keys for the Texas Rangers to win the World Series, and what's your prediction?
The most important key to me is the bullpen. I haven't been happy with our bullpen all season. I'm not a big fan of Chapman at all. Out of the bullpen, I think he's the weakest link. Thankfully, we get this time off to get some of these arms better. And second thing is, how healthy is Max? Because you're going to need him. You're really, really going to need him. And I know they threw him out there twice against the Astros. I wasn't a big fan of that. I didn't think he was ready. Hopefully, this extra time off, gives him an opportunity to, get a little healthier, maybe, get better control of his pitches, because he didn't seem to have good control of them in the two appearances he had in the LCS against the Astros. So those are the keys to me: the bullpen and Max. And if we get Max at 100% health, and our bullpen can just hold the fort down, when we need them to, I think offensively we have more than enough to get it done. And as far as the series is concerned, obviously it's going to come across a little bit of homer, but I'm going to take the Rangers in 6.
And Martez, where can people find you?
I'm sorry, you kind of bleeped out there.
Oh, where can people find your show and you?
I'm losing you, sir.
Oh, where can people find you and your show?
I've completely lost you. I can't hear anything you're saying at the moment.
Hey,
Yeah, I don't
Martez,
hear
can
you
you
at
hear
all,
me?
Jay.
Hey, Martez, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, sir.
Okay. He was asking where can people find you and your show?
Okay. You can find us, Face Sports Talk Radio. We stream on Facebook and Spotify. You can find us there Tuesdays from 7 to 8 o'clock. Myself, Martez, better known as the coach, and my co-host, Lewis Medford, a.k.a. the Professor.
Well, Martez, we appreciate it. Good luck to the Rangers, and I'm sure we'll talk to you in the future. Have a great night, man.
Same to you guys. Thanks for having me. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Now let's bring in everybody's favorite pundit, the only pundit I know. I've never met a pundit before. Mr. Ubbs himself, as he's playing with his hands. I don't know what he's doing. What is that? What are you, David Copperfield?
You can't see me, John Cena.
I got you.
No, what's going on? And no, I'll tell you this. One thing I got irritated with this whole deal, with the series, is Game 7. And they were well out of it, but the fans left that early. And especially in a small park like that, you never know. And it reminds me of the Spurs and the Heat way back when the fans left early, then they kept praying to get back into the game, and they couldn't get back in. It's like, fans are terrible. I keep saying that,
I don't know. Since I was like 7, I've had this rule: don't leave a game early. You never know what's going to happen.
I know, but I think so many fans are garbage. I think that's just the thing. They quit too early.
They do. It's sad. But what's also sad is no one would have predicted this World Series. I wish I had Raphael on right now to ask him what the odds would have been at the beginning of the year for picking this as the World Series. Because I am sure we would be talking lots of money at the current moment.
Oh, yeah. That was crazy. There's no way I would have thought it, but I'll tell you this part right here, if it pisses off Chris Russo, Mad Dog Russo, I'm happy. If it irritates...
You don't like the Mad Dog?
Well, no, I don't mind New Yorkers. In fact, I love them better than I do LA. But I don't like the elitist attitude of other areas that get in their way because you get so many types. You get Nate Silver, you get Chris Russo. You get these guys who think that you need to be entitled to, so we need to make it easier for them to make it. They didn't make it for a reason. They weren't good enough. Is it good for baseball? No, not really. It's going to have terrible ratings. It will. But the absolute truth of it all is the fact that it's just there's a lot. You live in Illinois now. That's where I'm from, Quincy, Illinois. See, at least you stepped out. so many New Yorkers won't step out, and they'll just call it flyover states. They'll get that. Then they get this elitist attitude. Then they say, I don't like this because, you know what I'm saying?
I learned a long time ago, you have to experience the world.
Yeah.
That's the only way to understand it. I mean, you can live in your bubble. That's fine. It just doesn't work. And if you don't experience other things, you'll miss out on life.
Well, that's
You
one
know,
thing.
so
Go ahead. Small town people, they miss out. A lot of them they'll go to college and just stay close, and then they go back to the thing. I did fly. My brother and I both flew, but at the same time, I also am learning this about the people. Big city people can stay in a bubble too.
oh, of course, it happens. Anybody can do it. Big city, small suburbs, out there on the farm. Some people just don't get outside the comfort zone. It's a big problem. Speaking of outside the comfort zone, the Diamondbacks stunned the Phillies. They won the series game 7 last night. Kettle Marte is the NLCS MVP. I mean, remember September when the Cubs kept losing to Arizona?
Yeah.
And we were in shock saying, is this possible?
Yeah.
I mean, the Cubs are a better team than this. I think we were wrong.
Oh, we were absolutely wrong, but you got to remember also they were also barely surviving Pittsburgh. Then they lost to them altogether. And the Royals, they barely beat the Royals, and then they get on the road and they lose to them.
Yeah,
and
it's just a strange year.
It was a strange year, but I'm saying toward the end, it's like it didn't feel that way because these are really bad teams. Remember, they lost to the Rockies 3-4 on the road, I believe. So
yeah,
like they just fell apart in September, completely useless by September.
Just odd. So tell me about Kettle Marte and what the Diamondbacks were able to do to go ahead and beat the Phillies.
Well, I think about this for a second. A second baseman, outside of you remember the times when you had second basemen, you had them, and they were the light hitters. They were almost utility. Now you get, between shortstop and second base, you get a Kettle Marte, you get a, I'm trying to think, I'm tired tonight. Houston, little guy.
You need to wake up. Jose Altuve. Jose Altuve.
Yeah, I'm saying, you're right. It's like, that's what I say. My head.
I'm not a fan of Jose Altuve. We're not to mention his name.
Right. But it's like, what I'm saying though, is like the guy's maybe 5'3" and they pop in home runs. And
it's easy when you're wearing a buzzer and you know what pitch is coming.
No, I'm just talking about the power of it. And the Kettle Marte, same thing. It's a different world, is what I'm saying.
I know.
What I'm saying is this is such a different world. It's like you would think that the MVPs and stuff like that are going to be all the outfielders, the guys, everything.
No, I'm glad to see that middle infielders can hit for power. I'd like to see more guys hit for average. But let's get into, something that's odd. This is the second year in a row that the 6th seed has won the pennant in the NL. We got 2 teams that had 100 losses last year or 2 seasons ago. Is this good or bad for baseball?
No, 2 teams making it that had 100 losses is not the bad thing for baseball. The bad thing for baseball is the fact that when you don't have enough footprint on these type of things, you get Arizona, you get the Texas Rangers. It was all Houston for 7 years. Remember that footprint in Texas went to Houston, all of it. So all of a sudden the Rangers show up, and then you get Arizona. There's no footprint there within the majors. So now you are basically watching a beer league softball game in comparison to what people see. So no, that's not good for baseball because people don't know them. And so you're not going to have the ratings. You're not going to have any interest. You're not going to have that. But as far as being 100 losses and then coming in to win the World Series, no, that's good. That part is good because truthfully, it just means this is not the time anymore what it once was, where it once was like when you would have 100 losses, it takes you 5 years to get to 90. You know what I'm saying? It's not that world anymore. You can win quicker.
I just think that there's an issue with the playoff system the way it is now. Mm-hmm. That's my honest opinion. Do I think that it's ever going to be? Do I think it's bad for baseball? No. I just think that a week off is not natural for a baseball player. and then to have to come out and perform at their best. I think it's a disadvantage to be a top 2 seed, but that's my personal opinion. I'm going to die on that hill. I don't care what anybody says.
Absolutely, and I can get that whatsoever. But see, baseball is so different from like basketball, football, any of that stuff as far as being a top seed, because you said it yourself. A week off, it's very bad. But baseball's such a slow game that your brain, just like mine did with Altuve there, can sometimes you can freeze itself up. You forget what you need. Where in football and basketball, everything has to be chemistry, it has to be stamina, it has to be everything, and everything working together. Where in baseball, whoever gets hot.
So, what's your thoughts on the World Series? Rangers or Diamondbacks? What's your preview and prediction?
I'm gonna go with him and say 6 for Rangers. I just saw. Remember, they win on the road. They win on the road, and it's like I could see them losing one game on the road because they're 9-0, but right then and there. But I could see them winning it all on the road and finishing it there.
Would it surprise me if they swept them?
Right.
I think it may be a gentleman's sweep in 5, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
They are a good team. I don't look at, like I said, I don't look at the fact that they made the World Series as a bad thing, because I think they're a good team. Doesn't mean I don't think that the Diamondbacks are a good team, but they just don't impress me the way that Texas does.
Well, Al, here's the thing about when you get the team like the Diamondbacks that are a shock, you have to maintain it. It's like the old tennis. It's like the tennis players that come back and they'll win a Grand Slam, and they were like 150 in the world before it. They come and win it. Then because of tennis's rules, you have to come back again to keep the same points. Then they don't. They're out in the first round. To win regularly is a mindset. The Rangers, I could see keeping the mindset. The Diamondbacks, I can see losing it in a hurry just because it's such pressure.
No, I definitely agree with you. All right, Hot Cub Time Machine. We're running short on time. Game 7, Marlins, Edgar Renteria, 11th inning walk-off RBI single, delivers the World Series to South Florida. Fastest expansion team to win a World Series. Jay, I don't know why we're talking about this. I don't like it. It's a horrible topic. It brings back bad memories. You're fired.
The thing I saw with it, I remember. There's one thing I'll give you a little.
I'm sorry. They played the Indians, not the Yankees.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter. It's the Marlins.
The
Marlins winning the World Series. The Marlins winning the World Series brings back bad memories.
No, and I'll completely understand. And no, the biggest thing with it is, like, I remembered was just like the Sid Bream for the Atlanta Braves racing in at the speed of nothing to the in '91 to get to the World Series. I love a great crowd pop, and in Florida that gave the wonderful crowd pop at the end. I love that. That's one thing I absolutely remembered, and it's like Arizona had that a few years later. But the thing about the fastest expansion,
Jacob, you're about to get fired too, because that was 2001 against the Yankees, Game 7. 9/11 happened earlier that season. It was a horrible thing. I don't like it. I don't like it.
No, but the thing about the expansion teams, though, we remembered, you and I, within about 2 years of each other, We remember when expansion teams, like I said, 100 losses every year, took 5 years to get to 90. You get my point? We remember those.
Exactly.
And it's like the 90s is when it started, said fastest expansion team to win a World Series. Then we remember the Vegas Golden Knights first year.
Exactly.
It's like there is no such thing as that you'll get an expansion. There's no such thing as you got to start thing. The rules have changed. So if we brought a 22-year-old on right now, it'd be like, huh? Like, just because their whole world has been knowing that expansion teams can win quick. We did not know that in our time when we were kids.
Very true. Cup or dud? The series is going 7.
No, 6. I say 6 myself because I think it's I just say the road. Everything like they'll either 6 or they'll win it on the road just because they're so good. I can see them losing one there, but they'll finish it off. All
right, Jacob. The abbreviated places where everyone can find you, because we're out of time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Jake the Pundit on Twitter. I'm not gonna say X. Jake the Pundit on Jake the Pundit on Instagram, Jake the Pundit on TikTok. All the shows on Sideline Sports, and I am also on Substack, Ricochet, and working on my Patreon and working on my Twitch. So a bunch of different things going on.
All right. Well, Jacob, it was a pleasure. Again, Cubfidential World Series edition, Rangers Diamondbacks. I'm saying 5 for the Rangers. Jay, your Astros had a heck of a series, a heck of a season. I still don't like them. Still think that they were cheaters. They made Dusty lose his last game as a manager. Don't like it. Sorry. But at least they got to play in October. I like the team I like.
I loved, something I say? I absolutely loved that Dusty got his, and I love that he went out going far. I didn't want him
Exactly.
Someone like him doesn't belong going out with you got 88 losses. You know what I'm saying? He got to go out.
No,
right.
I definitely agree. Well, until next week, enjoy the World Series, everybody. Got to give our producer, Denzel Snipes, some credit for coming up with some great topics, finding an unbelievable guest. Martez, thanks again for coming on. But until next week, we'll see you then.
Hey, just so you know, somebody banged a trash can outside and hit me up on my buzzer and told me that you were going to find a way to slander the Stros. Just so you know.
All right, man. Great show, guys. We'll see you next week.
Take care.